Hi, and welcome to Speechcast, the essential public speaking podcast. I'm Dave Aizer, and this week's guest is a good friend of mine, a very successful and talented on-camera broadcaster who has now moved to the behind-the-scenes side of the field and is working for CNN, Jeff Mielcarz. And for the past 9 years, Jeff has created some of CNN's award-winning promo campaigns geared around their original series. Previous to that, as mentioned, he was a host. He hosted Weather Ventures on the Weather Channel, and he also was the meteorologist on the morning show for the CW in South Florida, a show that I was fortunate enough to host, and Jeff and I became great friends doing that live TV morning show experience together. So I'm about to chat with him about going live, hosting TV, and also creating great producing campaigns for CNN. That and more with Jeff as Speechcast starts right now.
This is Speechcast, the essential public speaking podcast. Here's national TV host, public speaking and media coach, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author, Dave Aizer.
Jeff, what can I even say? What words could I possibly choose to describe our friendship and my level of respect and admiration for you? In fact, I won't even try. No words.
You know what I would ask first would be an apology that it has taken so long for you to make this happen. I needed you to make the first move, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's beautiful to see you.
Well, that sounds like revisionist history because I've been trying to book you for a while now. And even today was like, give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes, give me a half hour.
It is funny you bring up revisionist history. I feel like we have a little bit of that happened in the country the last few years. I feel like I can say whatever I want and just make up history, and that's what it is. So yes, I've been waiting for you, David Aizer, with your very successful TED Talks, and you're now an author. I feel like so much has happened since last we crossed paths. And I could not be more proud of you. So let's just keep, because I'm an only child, let's just keep patting each other on the back for this 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Cool?
You're great. No, you're great. I'm sure the audience would love it.
Yes. Really a lot of takeaway nuggets from this conversation already.
So before people crash their cars or run off the treadmills at the gym or just change the podcast, let me try to rein it in a little bit.
All right.
Let's work backwards. Let's talk about what you're doing right now. Senior producer for CNN, the title itself. I mean, business cards were invented for that title.
Man,
it sounds like a pretty fancy schmancy thing, my friend.
It's funny. I think that you and I are both very similar. And when it comes to career and what you want to do, it's kind of like, we both have a lot of drive. But sometimes you just kind of go where the universe takes you a little bit. And so what I'm doing right now, again, yes, I'm working for CNN. I'm not actually doing, the news. What I do is the marketing wing of things. So what I am attempting to do on a daily basis is to, with my words and video, trick you into watching some of our wonderful programming. I won't even, we're not pulling punches. We're all adults here. We're tricking you, right? Like we got to get you interested and we get you there. So right now I'm working on a show called The Story of Late Night.
And the stuff that you're doing is, I'm going to brag for you. It's super clever. You've won awards. You've won an Emmy. You fun. Get to get these super serious CNN anchors to let them their guard a little bit and have fun. Talk me through that experience working with the talent and getting them to expand their comfort zones.
It's just fun taking the news people that you see every day and kind of incorporate them and see them in a different light. And I think at the end of the day, everyone loves that, both the audience and, for our people's brand, you caught, but I mean, like Don Lemon was strutting down the street a couple of years ago. I had him doing Saturday Night Fever, and then Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper. I mean, you cannot get a more serious, more intense dude than Jake Tapper, but they're playing the big piano. You know what I mean? And I think it's just these fun little things, especially for our demographic. They remember these iconic scenes from the movies. So how can we wrap that in? It's all about wrapping your brand and having that on-brand message. Okay, well, the movies are coming to CNN. We're not showing movies. We're giving you like a documentary look at the movies through all the decades, and we want to wrap our talent into it so it's a cohesive piece.
I wonder, and you mentioned the research that you guys do. I wonder if is there any like hesitancy when when you say to Anderson Cooper years ago, okay, you're going to do New Year's Eve. And then he's drinking on camera. And then the next day or 2 days later, I'm watching him on the news talk about some of the most serious stuff.
I can even tell you, I mean, yesterday was a big day. I don't know when this is going to come out, but yesterday was a big day. It was a very heavy, hard news day yesterday. So I had actually just finished this latest round. We've got 6 new promos with Aaron Burnett, Don Lemon, and Anderson Cooper promoting the story of Late Night. And they were supposed to hit the air yesterday. Well, obviously, taking the pulse of what's going on, we did not air them yesterday. So, it's just kind of like take a pause and just make sure that, nothing will seem kind of amiss, because you're balancing that trust issue with, hey, we're all human beings here and we all like to have a little bit of fun sometimes. We want to make sure that we're very much not pushing the envelope too far. We did a whole facts first thing, which I had some things to do. I worked on this little stills piece very early on in the COVID pandemic era. It was my first shoot. It was a 3-day shoot in Los Angeles, and I'm doing it from my couch. It was crazy, and it was just these very, very poignant stills. So we were able to take a matter of trust, and we had a composer kind of rework it in this little piano suite, and we got a lot of good press for it. But so that is something that with CNN we're always balancing, that level of trust, but then able to kind of like kind of circle a little bit and still have a little bit of fun and remind everybody that everybody's we're all adults and we all have we all want to smile, man. That's all it is, that's what the
last year has taught us. Yeah,
that is what the last year has taught us, and I think these things are more important now than ever. We were actually going to launch Story of Late Night last year, and we did pull it from the schedule because, my God, every day was just looking worse and worse and worse, and it was not the time to be laughing, right? So, I mean, just for that, I mean, forget my job. Again, smart people above my pay grade were like, now's not the time to launch a show about the history of late night television and be just uproariously laughing. It just didn't work. So we actually pushed it for a year, and we talked about it in the upfronts, and I'm sure that cost the company quite a bit of money. But it was the right call. We will always make the right call in those situations. And I mean, I write plenty of scripts and scenarios that get literally machine gun shot down from the sky. I mean, we need to have full talent buy-in, not just from talent, but from executive producers. And this goes all the way up to Jeff Zucker.
So let me jump in. Can you give me an example of, because I know you. So the people listening and watching who don't know Jeff is so funny and off the cuff, and I would say his sense of humor is, I would say, dark yet playful.
Maybe not right for CNN, you would think. I probably should be working in the family. It could be more of an Adult Swim guy. I don't know, right? Is that what you're saying? That's probably what my bosses think too.
When left to your own devices to sit in a room and come up with a script, can you give me any ideas or concepts that the producer was like, no, actually, no.
I think there's just because, we just moved from into a brand new townhome. I don't really want to put my job security on the line.
Fair enough.
But I mean, look, anything that you can think of, you can trust me. I mean, you must know this. I don't know how many stories you decided to include in your book and things like that, but it's like, when given a creative brief, right? I am going to give you something that I know is going to get approved. I'm going to give you something that there is no way it's going to get approved. And then I'm going to give you something that in the right day, the right time, you might be like, Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper playing on the big piano. Yeah, we'll go for that. But you know what I mean? Because the problem with what we do, honestly, you, myself, anybody who's kind of in this business, is you get 10 people in a room. I mean, think about testing, Super Bowl ads and things like that, right? Get 10 people out in a room, right? 2 people are going to love it. 2 people are going to hate it. And the other 6 are going to be like, eh. You know what I mean? So trying to get things approved up so many levels. I mean, it's just a fact of life that things are going to get diluted, right? But man, I had this one thing look, seriously, so something that we called Noisy Neighbor, and it was the launch of the United States of America. My God, it's 5 years ago. Where's time go? And we had, so it was, W. Kamau Bell, who's, he's got his like street smarts and things like that. So he's moving into CNN, and I've got like this undercover, like hard rap playing, and it's booming, right? And it's coming out of everywhere. And I'm pitching this to my people, and I'm like, so Kamau is like walking in slow motion, shot beautifully, walking through the CNN halls. And then he's like going to go bang on the door. He slams into the office, and it's Wolf Blitzer, man, like just getting down in his office. And I mean, there was, and this actually was a pitch that did not have to happen during Zoom. You can feel the excitement. People are like, oh my God, that's hysterical. Of course, like Wolf Blitzer is going to be the guy like listening to like some underground rap in his office before he does his show, right? So I never thought that had a shot in a million years, man. So that's always when I talk to like kids, I'm like, you always give your safe idea because that's what's paying the bills, but you always got to at least push it, even if you think there is no way that Wolf would do it. Never mind. Again, like I said, like Jeff Zucker has to basically sign off on these things before we go make them because we're spending, quite a bit of cash. But Wolf thought it was amazing. I mean, like it was great. I had like a little GIF of him like, doing like a wolf dance, like he's dancing behind his desk. So, I mean, that's so you asked like, what I'm doing and why I'm doing this. I'm doing this still to this day for the same company for the unexpected surprises like that.
Well, you're great on camera, and you were most often you were one of my favorite parts of hosting the morning show, because hosting a morning show is tough, man. It's tough to wake up at 2, get into the office by 3, write and produce some stuff, and be on camera at 5. But when your co-hosts, the people you share your set with are funny, just makes life better. And as I was putting together this interview, and I was thinking about what I wanted to talk with you about with regards to the morning show in South Florida that we were on together. I thought about one of my favorite episodes. I got to interview Tico Torres, the drummer for Bon Jovi, and you're laughing now because you know me well, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't even know how you did that one, but go ahead.
I did it with you next to me. So Jeff's a drummer. Jeff's background is in music. He's a drummer, and I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan. Jeff teases me a little bit for that, but that's fine. That's fine. Whatever.
Hey, man, Bon Jovi is one of my first concerts. There's nothing but love for Bon Jovi. Stop.
Thank you. So we get to interview the drummer from my favorite band of all time, and that's still 25 years of doing this on TV. That's still one of my favorite moments. You remember that?
Man, I remember that so well. Was he doing art? He either had a book or he was doing art. It's like everybody's doing art. He's doing art. Paul Stanley does art. It's like, I guess once you hit a certain thing, like you and I probably, I guess you go make some art. I mean, I feel like you could just throw some, be like, hey, here's some art. There's that is an unbelievable thing. Like you've got growing up drummer, right? Like one of my first concerts without my parents was the Bon Jovi New Jersey tour, just to date myself a little bit. And then you who love Bon Jovi, and we're just sitting there like it's a Tico Torres sandwich with his art over here. I don't know what that was about, but whatever. I was like, I'll give you the art. Let's just talk about Slippery When Wet, bro.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. This is a great hosting lesson for people at home listening who want to be hosts. So I remember, I don't know if you'll even remember this. So we go up to him in the commercial break before he's about to be on, right? And I'm like trying not to fangirl,
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, Tico, I'm Dave. This is Jeff. Whatever, we're gonna interview you. And I start talking to him because one of my techniques when I interview people is I try to establish rapport with them before we go live. So I'm like, I love Bon Jovi, and then I think you chimed in about Bon Jovi, and I'm like, I've seen them so many times. I've seen you live, and I start talking about Bon Jovi, and he says to me, he goes, we're going to talk about my art, right?
Dude, just like that, man. And that was like, that was so New Jersey, New York, like he turned on a dime, man. And this is like anybody watching this, you've got like 2.5 minutes of commercial. That's all you've got. So like the energy was like, okay, I guess we're not going to talk about the 3-night stand at Madison Square Garden that I think you probably had like teed up, man.
Right. I was like, I had 9 music questions. And then before we go, tell us about your art. That was going to be
oh my God, scratch the cards, man. Seriously. But that is, dude, it is so funny because, they come on with this agenda, they come on with the agenda. And you're like, oh yeah, we've got to talk about your art. I'm blown away by it, Tico. But yeah, dude, it's you bring up the morning show, man. And when we actually finally decided that we could do this, I just started thinking back about some of those things. I even have a couple of those moments still on my website, just because I like seeing them. I know no one else is looking at them, but it's like, those were a crazy 2 years, man. I think we were this close. I just say, I think we were this close. We, needed a little more buy-in, but man, anybody watching this that thinks they can do morning TV, man, waking up 2 a.m, and putting forth that energy, it really is. I mean, you gotta harness it right here. I mean, it's gotta be here for 4 hours, because
that's a good point. It's not just the waking up early and working for 4 hours. You're not working behind a desk. You are on camera. You have to look good. You've got to have energy. You have to be charismatic and charming. In your case, being a meteorologist, I think all of the studies indicated like weather and traffic is the thing people care about the most in the morning. So you got to be on. And in South Florida, we have a lot of very dangerous weather situations. So your job was
it was real because to your point, I love that you said that, because it's like, everything is like, hey, zany morning weather guy, right? But I mean, there are and that's like what tests well, but at the same time, you're actually giving real information that sometimes, especially there could be life and death in like a hurricane thing, not to get dark, but I mean, like, you're right. I mean, how do you keep that interesting, and how do you keep the energy level up for 4 hours when ultimately you are repeating the same thing over and over again, and that is, I mean, you really can't teach that. That's the thing that I love about like what you're doing here, and like you do your coaching. It's interesting because it is hard to teach that in school, right? Like, you definitely need, like, from a book, you need to talk with someone and work with someone who has done this if you want to be better. Now, TikTok aside, I don't know what's going on with the influencers. I don't think they want to hear from you, Dave. No offense, right? Because they're doing something right.
8 times their age. It feels
well, that's true. They really they definitely don't want to. Do not be creeping into any DMs on my watch. I trust.
By the way, I'm for the people listening. Yes. I'm not that old. That was
okay. All right, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yes. Are we gonna cut now? Are we gonna restart?
No, we're fine. No, we're not cutting. We're just
rolling. But I'm just so the one thing that I did want to say, I for anyone doing this, and this goes for corporate America, this goes for on air, this goes for anything. I mean, the first person who hired me for an on air job told me this: the one currency that we all have that is worth the same exact thing, no matter whether you're Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or, unemployed, right, is time. Like, that is you need to respect people. I'm hoping we're respecting people's time right now, and this isn't just blabbering, but that is the one thing that stuck with me. I'm like, oh my God, that is so right. So whether you're watching a morning show, whether you're making a 30-second commercial, whether you're doing a podcast, like I love Christopher Nolan. Did Tenet need to be 2.5 hours long? I don't know.
All of his stuff is 2.5 hours long.
I mean, like, man, you could take a razor to almost anything. And it's like, so that's the thing, right? There's only there's a finite amount of time, 24 hours in a day. In our morning show was 4 hours. People have time, and it's the same to everyone. So don't waste it. So like in a morning show, like, people's time is important. So even if you're not having a great day, or you're not feeling 100%, you sure as hell better look like you are having the time of your life every day, 5 days a week, that you're doing that, man. Because because it's so easy to go click, bye.
And seriously. When I watch morning news on your channel or wherever I end up watching it, I can tell when the anchor's tired. I can tell. I've been in that seat before. I've been sick. I've been whatever, not feeling well, exhausted, depressed, whatever the thing is. Mm-hmm. But maybe other people can't tell because I'm looking at it under a different lens. And I have such respect. Such respect for people who do live TV, who do long TV, who do TV at tough hours.
Right.
Hard gig.
Oh yeah. No, there's something to be said for fake it till you make it, man. I think you have to, because if you don't, you're going to be unemployed, especially out of this quick changing business all the time. People are very flippant. And I mean, I love that you said build a rapport, because when I was actually doing the hosting, so before our show, I did a travel show for the Weather Channel, and I loved getting the feedback during like the pre-interview when the camera wasn't rolling, right? Because you could tell some of these people, because I was doing a travel show, so Weather Ventures. Yes. I'm doing a show called Weather Ventures, and we're talking to people who are very average Joe, Jill, you know what I mean? Like, these are just regular people, man. And they are not used to having like a giant camera in their face, right? So you do have to disarm them. Like Tico Torres is used to the 3 cameras and the control room and all the lights. Like, he's got it, man. He's probably talked about his art way more than he should be talking about his art. Isn't that right? Does anybody own any Tico Torres art? Please send me pictures.
You know, he's one of the big listeners to this show.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
At least he was.
Tico, what's up, dude? Yeah, block. But seriously, I mean, like the regular people, I mean, even if it's just like, you know, the random surfer in Hawaii, and we're trying to find out like how weather affects like the waves and why it's so good there. Like, he's pretty good to talk to when a camera's not in his face, you know what I mean? But so you need to spend 5 to 10 minutes getting to know people, disarming them a little bit, so that when the red light comes on, people are just, you're just talking to one of your buddies. Everybody's got a story. If you could get them talking about what is so passionate to them, man, like you could really almost do something, you know, you could make something about anything at that point, right?
Yeah, well, it's always fun to talk to you. You and I could read the phone book for 6 hours and probably.
We should try that. Do you think that podcast would try? We should do that.
I don't even think
just as a goof, dude. Just as a goof, man. Like we should definitely pilot that out and just see where it goes on the Apple chart. It might beat some of those Calm apps. I've heard some terrible.
Smith, comma Michael Smith, comma. Oh, it sounds great. Hey, Do you want people to learn more about you and find you, or would you just prefer they leave you alone?
No, please. I'm a social media whore. Come on, you know that. Yeah, I mean, it's very easy. I started, I think I started Twitter in the morning show studio. That's forever ago. So the Twitter machine, on the Twitter machine, please. It's just the letter J and my last name, JMIELCARZ. If you care to see some of the work I've done, I mean, the website's the same. 3Ws.jmielcarz.com.
All right, man. Well, we'll end this
awesome.
And then we'll continue this conversation offline.
Yeah,
Good to see you, bud.
Great to see you.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my combo with Jeff, and I hope you feel a little more inspired to pursue a career in public speaking. If you liked the show, we would love it if you could subscribe and share it with all of your friends. And also, if you're listening to us on Apple and iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It'll take less than a minute, and it will mean a lot to me, and it will help the show out. Thanks again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next week with another brand new episode of Speechcast.